everybody, I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be looking at two ways Jurgen Klopp can use the false nine, and these are two tactics he's implemented throughout the Premier League season, which allowed and was one of the main factors in why he was able to get so close to Manchester City. Now before we get into it, check out both my books. They're online on Amazon. There's links in the description below, and be sure to check out Keyframe. It's how I'm making this video. Now let's get right into the tactics. So Liverpool, they always go with their back four, and then here's where we have the change. Now with the absence of Fabinho, we have a little bit more flexibility in the midfield with Jordan Henderson coming into the middle as the holding midfielder. Then we look at the first implication of this false nine. Sadio Mane playing as a central striker is then in our false nine role. Then we have to take a look at Wolves' defensive setup in their 5-4-1. So we'll highlight their four midfielders and their single striker. Now from here, it's very important that we acknowledge the positioning of Sadio Mane in this false nine role. His orientation is much closer to the midfielders of Wolves, which creates more space between the lines. And as we look, we have an attacking midfielder on either side of Sadio Mane. This then allows for dual width to be created on both sides and no occupation over the three central defenders, and pinning the wingbacks to the wide areas because of the wide wingers. So then what would then happen here is it would then create a dilemma for the three central defenders, having them to decide whether to jump and potentially concede space in behind for inverted runs, or to maintain their defensive line and concede space between the lines for potentially a player like Mane to then turn into. This then puts Wolves in a lose-lose situation because of the quality of Liverpool in possession of the ball. Now we'll take a look at the second instance that we can see how Liverpool implement a false nine. So we're going to highlight the offensive structure for Liverpool with Mo Salah occupying single width on this right hand side, and James Milner dropping deeper as a deep lying playmaker, as Thiago usually does, allowing then Andy Robertson to occupy full width and maintain their diagonal structure. Now we have Jordan Henderson again playing as a single pivot, and now the front three changes quite a lot in their implications how they use this false nine. So first, before we start, we're going to highlight the 5-4-1 of Wolves to give better reference points of the impact of Sadio Mane. So then we can highlight Sadio Mane between the lines of Wolves, and we'll look at what's going on around him. So we have Naby Keita higher up the field in a very central position, occupying the space between wingback and central defender. And we have Luis Diaz positioning himself between two central defenders and Trent Alexander-Arnold as an inverted attacking fullback. So we have three players in close proximity of the three central defenders, each pinning a central defender or two defenders potentially, allowing for this space to be created for Sadio Mane between the lines. So in the first picture, we had players occupying each of the defensive gaps in midfield of the midfield four of Wolves, and here we have a relatively vacant space in behind the midfield except for the occupation of Sadio Mane. So by having one false nine who's more of a free roam player, gives him more freedom to use the space in the half spaces and between the lines in general to then create superiority, especially with a central defender dribbling and progressing the ball through the half space. So then this doesn't affect the central defenders in terms of getting them to jump, but instead we pin the central defenders and really highlight the space between the lines. Whereas if these players drop deeper in line with the midfielders, then the space would then be targeted in behind, trying to get a central defender to jump. So these are the two ways Jurgen Klopp used the false nine throughout this Premier League season. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.